In this video, we're going to look at sources of survey error. Survey research is complicated. There's a few different steps. For starters, we need a population. That is the group of people that we want to study. Could be registered voters, likely voters, residents of a specific geographic area, maybe a specific type of worker, an age demographic like seniors or young people. We first have to identify the population. Then we need to figure out how to reach them. And we do that by using what's called a sample frame. A sample frame is a list of people from the population from which we will draw a sample. And this could be an online panel. Some people sign up to online panels and volunteer to complete online surveys. Voters' rolls from elections administrators contain phone numbers that you could use to call people, or maybe email lists to send emails to people. Those are sample frames, the list of people that we're going to draw a sample from. Then we actually draw a sample. That is, we take a random group of people from our sample frame and we ask them to complete our survey. The sample is the people that actually complete the survey. A lot of different steps, and there's a lot of different potential for things to go wrong. There's the potential for error that might produce a result in our survey that really isn't representative of our population. We're going to look at a few different types of error. Generally, survey error can be broken down into 4 categories: coverage error, sampling error, non-response error, and measurement error. We're going to look at each one of those in turn. We'll start with coverage error. When we're talking about coverage error, we want to think about how well we are covering our population. And coverage error happens when the characteristics of our sample frame are different from the people in our population. Essentially, the people we have on our list to contact are not really representative of the population at large. So maybe we have a list of phone numbers, but it's only a list of landline phone numbers. That's not really representative of the entire population because many people use mobile phones for their primary telephone. Online panels such as YouGov and many other online panel firms, well, those are people that volunteer to complete online surveys. People that volunteer to complete online surveys might not be representative of the entire population. So coverage error means the list we have might be off in some manner when we compare it to our initial population. The next type of error we're going to look at is sampling error. And so this is at the next step in the process where we're drawing a sample from the sample frame. It's possible that those people we sample, again, are different from the rest of the people in the sample frame and the population. What might this look like? Well, let's say if we've got a list of phone numbers, but we only call people between the hours of 12 and 4 in the afternoon. We're definitely going to miss some people. What if we only use Facebook and we send our survey through a Facebook link? Again, that's going to eliminate some people that we would potentially have access to. Same with mail surveys, people that might not respond to a mail survey, or in-person interviews that we happen to conduct at a shopping mall or a cinema. We're going to miss people, and that is called sampling error. Another type of error is non-response error. Sometimes the people that respond to our survey are just randomly different than the people that don't respond. But other times they have some characteristics that are in common. And that is called non-response error, when the people that respond are very different from the people that don't. Maybe there's some specific groups of people that are less likely to complete a survey, and they all share certain views. That would be missing from our results. Think about the number of times that you might answer an unsolicited phone call. Again, some people might be more likely to answer the phone than others, and that would be showing up in our data. In the United States, in recent election cycles, President Trump, for example, discouraged his supporters from talking to the media. The media was portrayed as the enemy. And so what is the likelihood that those supporters would participate in surveys run by media organizations? Well, in that case, what we would have is a differential non-response. The people that do not respond have a different partisan affiliation than the people that do respond to surveys, and that can lead to survey error. The final type of survey error that we're going to look at is measurement error. This is when the responses we get on our survey might not actually be meaningful. They might not be measuring the thing that we want to measure. They might not be representing the true attitudes and sentiments of voters. And there can be a few different reasons for that. For one, we have to think of the survey response process. what respondents do when they're responding to survey questions, whether it be online or over the phone. First, they have to understand what the question is. Then they have to try and figure out if they have access to that information in their memory. They sort of run that through sort of a judgment heuristic to see, where they stand on that issue, and then they give a response. And so within that process of trying to ask people their opinions about complicated issues and vote intention and whether they voted in the past, there can be errors made. And there's a few different types of error. One is cognitive load. If you're asking people extremely complicated questions that they might just not remember, that's going to give us potential for measurement error. Acquiescence bias, when people tend to choose the default option and just agree with the survey question or agree with the interviewer. And then, of course, social desirability bias. People might be reluctant to express opinions that are socially unpopular. If that happens, then we would not see that in our final survey results. The results we have would not be representative of the true attitudes in the population. So just to recap, when we do survey research, we try and sample a population to get an idea of what is happening, what are the overall preferences in that population. There can be potential for error in the way we cover our sample, or our population, the way we get the sample itself, whether people respond or not, and whether we're actually measuring the things that we think we are.